A very good day to all. I happily welcome you all to the 21st as well as our valedictory webinar of Raman Optronic Webinar Series, ROWS2022, organized by Raman International Optronic Society, RIOS. Today we have the distinguished Professor John FREDY BARRERA RAMIREZ from University of Antioquia, Colombia as our invited speaker. Firstly, I welcome Professor Shankar Raman, Chairman of RIOS, for the welcome address.
Thank you, Dr. Subna. Good evening, most respected Professor John FREDY, Optics and Photonics Group, University of Antioquia, Colombia. Respected professors, organizing committee members of Raman International Optronic Society, RIOS, friends, students, and esteemed participants of the webinar. Gaining impetus from the incessant support and overwhelming participation we received from the global optoelectronics fraternity to Raman Optronics Webinar Series, ROWS, since 2020, RIOS is organizing the third virtual international conference, ROWS2022, from 7th November 2022 to 7th December 2022. All the webinars in ROWS 2022 were scheduled at 7 p.m. with the same Google link. All the lectures of stalwarts of ROWS are made available in our YouTube channel, Raman Optronics. RIOS was formed with a vision of global interaction and sharing of knowledge in photonics, optoelectronics, and optical communication, with a mission to provide a platform to bridge the gap between academia and industry through collaborative research, webinars, and research paper presentations. The results of the research paper presentations conducted on 3rd and 4th December 2022 will be announced now. The abstract book with ISBN of ROWS 2022 can be downloaded from the website, and the results of Best Paper Awards also can be viewed in the notification page of RIOS website. Today, I am extremely happy to see the successful completion of the webinar series ROWS 2022. The credit goes to Team RIOS with active, sincere, and hardworking organizing committee members. In this occasion, I would like to thank Dr. M.S. Swapna, one of the secretaries of RIOS, University of Nova Gorica, Slovenia, who had spent more than 5 months in organizing the ROWS webinars. Dr. Raji Kedhaman and Ms. Nithi took much pain in sending reminders, collecting feedbacks, and issuing certificates without any complaint. Mr. Ajit and Vijesh were the people behind the YouTube Live and the recording of the webinars, editing, and uploading the videos. The paper presentation session and abstract book preparation were beautifully carried out by the research scholars Ranjini, Anasura, and Sandra. It is only the hard work of the team behind the success of the webinar. RIOS greatly acknowledged their contribution. The Science, Technology, and Innovation STI unit of Abdus Salam International Center for Theoretical Physics, ICTP, Italy, along with the co-chair of RIOS, Dr. Humberto, took special interest in bringing the webinars before the scientific community. I sincerely thank ICTP Italy and Dr. Humberto for their support to ROWS 2022. The efforts of Professor Karanjit Singh, Punjab University, Professor Unnikrishnan Nair, University of Kerala, Dr. Svetlana, Russian Academy of Science, Professor Dharamveer Chaudhary Lal, University Haryana, Professor Radha Krishna Prabhu, King Gordon University, United Kingdom, Professor Jos Rajan, University of Malaysia, Professor Baba Tunde Emmanuel, Nigeria, need special appreciation in the successful completion of ROWS 2022. On behalf of RIOS, I thank all the organizing committee members. A humble request to all the members of RIOS. All of you can suggest eminent scholars in optoelectronics as the speaker in ROWS 2023. We welcome your valuable suggestions and nominations to enrich RIOS and ROWS. We are also happy to associate with the academic activities upholding the vision and mission of RIOS. Let us join hands to strengthen the optoelectronics fraternity. Coming to today's webinar, Today we are fortunate to have an eminent professor, Dr. John Freddy of University of Antioquia, Colombia, with us as the speaker. We are thankful to you, sir, for accepting our invitation to the webinar. On behalf of the organizing committee and members of RIOS, I welcome Professor John Freddy to the webinar series. On behalf of RIOS, I welcome the distinguished professors, researchers, students, and all those joined now to the valedictory webinar of ROWS2022. We request your wholehearted support and participation throughout this program to make this a grand, memorable event. Now it is the time to declare the Best Paper Award in the 5 technical sessions held on 3rd and 4th December 2022. I invite Anashara Krishna, Department of Optoelectronics, University of Kerala, to announce the result. Over to Anashara.
Good evening and good afternoon all. We are going to the most awaiting session. Yes, it's the time to announce the best paper presentations. The best paper presentation of technical session 1, photonic material, goes to Ritika Arora, ROWS 2022 PM05 from Department of Punjab University, Patiala, Punjab, India, on the topic Influence of Nd3 plus ion on thermoluminescence characteristics of borotolurite glasses. Next, the best paper presentation of technical session 2, signal and image processing, goes to Ramkumar Muthukrishnan, ROWS 2022 SP06 from Electronic and Electrical Engineering, Robert Gordon University, UK, on the topic question estimation of surgical needle based on vision system for surgical robot. Next, technical session 3, microelectronics and nanoelectronics. Best presentation goes to Arka Bhattacharya, ROWS 2022 MN024 from Department of Physics, Indian Institute of Science Education and Research, Tirupati, India, on the topic a combined theoretical and experimental approach to reduce the role of dielectric layer on interface trap density in single crystal organic field effect transistors. Next, technical session 4, nanophotonics. Best presentation goes to Vishnu Venugopal, ROWS 2022 NP02 from Department of Optoelectronics, University of Kerala, India, on the topic design and development of a microcontroller based LED system for photodynamic therapy. Next, Pooja KV, ROWS 2022 NP07, Department of Physics, University of Kerala, India, on the topic probing crystal structure and photophysical response of multifunctional CR3 plus activated SRLA LiPeO6 double perovskites. Next, technical session 5, laser applications. Best presentation goes to Anugo B, ROWS 2022 LA03 from International School of Photonics, Cochin University of Science and Technology, India, on the topic Whispering Gallery laser emission from the dye-doped PMMA coated polymer optical fiber. Congratulations all.
Now I invite one of the chairpersons of RIOS, Dr. Humberto Cabrera, International Center for Theoretical Physics, Italy, to chair the session and to introduce the speaker. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all. It is my great pleasure to introduce Professor John Freddy Barrera Ramirez. John Freddy Barrera Ramirez received his Bachelor in Science, Master and PhD degree in Physics from Antioquia University, Colombia. His doctoral thesis received the academic distinction of Summa Cum Laude. Since 2006, he has been with Antioquia University, where he is professor in the Physics Institute and coordinator of the Optics and Photonics Group. He received the International Award ICO ICTP Gallieno Denardo, given by the International Commission for Optics ICO and the International Center for Theoretical Physics ICTP. He has been selected as Future Leader 2016 in Science and Technology in Society Forum. John TWAS affiliate, the Third World Academy of Science TWAS, and many more his account. John Freddy is optical senior member of the Optical Society, SPI senior member of the International Society for Optics and Photonics, SPIE, and member of the editorial board of the Heli Young Elsevier Journal, and a senior researcher of the National Agency of Science called Ciencias Colombia. Some contribution by John Freddy Barrera Ramirez and his collaborator have been selected to be included and highlighted in exclusive section of journals and prestigious scientific platforms such as the Research Highlights section of Nature Photonics, May 2003. Twice the exclusive section IOP Select of IOP Science, the special section Spotlight on Optics of Optica in the Optical Society of America in March 2011. He has authored 77 peer-reviewed international papers, 2 invention patents, 1 published patent application, 24 publications in international conference proceedings, and 18 publications in national peer-reviewed journal with more than 2014 citations and with H index 27. John Freddy has participated with 43 contributions in international conference and 58 in national meetings. He has participated as a leader in 17 research projects and in 12 projects as member of the research team. His research interests include optical information processing, optical encryption and validation, optical data compression, diffractive optics, holography, interferometry, and optical vision. Now, I kindly request John Freddy Barrera Ramirez to begin his presentation. Thank you.
Okay, Humberto, thank you very much for the presentation. As Humberto said, I am John Freddy Barrera Ramirez, professor at Institute of Physics of Universidad de Antioquia in Medellin, Colombia. I want to thank the invitation of Humberto, Professor Humberto Cabrera from ICTP, and the organizer of this great event. Okay, today I'm going to talk about secure data handling using optical processing. I'm going to show you how to protect information using optical processors and how we are able to compress that information using optical concepts instead of digital formats. I live here in the country of Colombia, in Medellin, near to this point here. This is a picture of part of my city. You can see here the main campus of my university, near to the Medellin River here. And we have some research facilities near to the main campus, more or less in this position here. And here we can see the metro system of my city. As Humberto said, I am the coordinator and the Optics and Photonics group. We are 6 teachers with some undergraduate and graduate students. We take this picture recently in the main campus of the university. You can see here, we are a young group. There are so many young students here in this main campus. And we are the coordinator of the group and the leader of the research line in optical information processing. We are the members of my team here. As we know, optical encryption is a way to protect information, but over the years, many encrypted systems that were originally thought to be secure have been badly broken. With this fact, it's important not only to improve the current system, but also looking for new proposals to encrypt information, to protect information. And optics is a good alternative to protect information for several points. The first one is the parallel processing of light. The processing is performed at the speed of light. An optical system provides several degrees of freedom, like polarization, wavelength of phase. And an important aspect is that in optical encryption, we are using physical systems, and we can have physical keys instead of digital keys. And this physical key plays an important role to protect information. Here, the basic definition of encryption is quite simple. The process encryption is the process to convert some information in a nonsense pattern called encrypted image. From this nonsense pattern, we cannot recognize the object. This encrypted image contains the information of the object, but we cannot recognize the object. This process is carried out for the encrypted system, and this encrypting system contains an important element called security key. This security key allows to convert the information in the encrypted image and then recover the information contained in this encrypted image. This is then the encryption process, quite simple. And decryption is recover the information using the encrypted data we have here and the security key. With both information, we can access to the original information. The security system is based in the following fact. If somebody has the encrypted information but doesn't have the security key, he is not able to recover information. To recover the information, we need both the encrypted information and the security key. Here we can see the first optical encryption system that was proposed. It's called double random phase encoding because it uses two random phase masks in a 4F architecture. This first proposal was demonstrated by computer simulations and then was demonstrated with experimental results. This system contains two lengths, okay, see here with focal length f, and in the input plane is placed a random phase mask, and in the fixed Fourier plane we place the second random phase mask. This second random phase mask acts like security key. If we insert in the system one object here in the input plane and illuminate the system, in the output plane here, you obtain the encrypted data. It's important to note that the distance between the input and the output planes is 4F, and that is why we call this system 4F system. Here, we have the encrypted information. As I said, it's a nonsense pattern, and it's a random pattern due to the use of the two random phase mask during the encryption process. In this case, then, the encrypted object here is the product between the transmittance of the input plane and the Fourier transform of the security key. This key, as I said, is placed in the first Fourier plane. Here, we have the system to recover the information. To decrypt the information is recovered information from the information of the encrypted object. This system is also a 4F system with two lenses, and we insert in the input plane the complex conjugate of the encrypted object here, and in the fixed Fourier plane, we place the security key. In this way, we obtain in the output plane the original information. With this procedure, we demonstrate that using a 4F system with two random phase masks is possible to encrypt, to hide information, and then to recover it using the encrypted information at the security key. As I said, this first proposal was demonstrated by computer simulations, but then it was possible to demonstrate it from experimental point of view. Once we encrypt one data, one single information, we are able to encrypt multiple information. Here we have an example to handling of multiple data. We have n data, object 1 from object 2 to object n. We encrypt every data using different keys. For object 1, we encrypt it with key 1, from object 2 with key 2, and so on. In this case, we obtain n encrypted data from E1 to En, and we can add together all the encrypted data. If we add all the encrypted data, we obtain that we call multiplexing. This multiplexing contains all the encrypted data, and the idea is to think how we can extract for this multiplexing its original objects. Okay. Then we have then the multiplexing, all the encrypted data, and if we have the multiplexing at Q1, we can recover object 1. If then I receive the Q2, using the multiplexing at Q2, I can recover object 2. In this way, we can send the multiplexing to multiple users, and then to each user receives only one key. User 1 receives Q1 and recovers object 1, and user N receives Kn, and with the multiplexing can recover object On. In this way, we can manage multiple data using the multiplexing. We have to send only the multiplexing, not all the encrypted data. Okay. In this way, we can encrypt one data or multiple data using optical processors. But we found a very big problem when we are trying to recover information from multiplexing. If we have any encrypted data in the multiplexing and we try to recover one data from this multiplexing, for example, the L object, we use the key L and we obtain in the output plane, in the recovered plane, we can recover the object L, but the non-recovering data is superimposed with this decrypted data and avoids the recognition of this data. We have one example. We have these words. We encrypt these words and we decrypt without multiplexing, and we recover the object, the letters. But for example, if we encrypt 30 objects and between these objects is encrypted these letters, and we use the key with these letters were encrypted, we can recover the object here, but this term represents the noise produced for the 29 not decrypted objects. Look at here, we have the recovered objects here, but it's occluded for the noise producing for the non-recovered objects. This represents a big limitation because if we increase the number of multiplexed and encrypted objects, this noise increase, and there is a moment when we cannot recognize nothing about the object here. This represents a big limitation for optical encryption for several years, but we have the solution to this problem, and the solution is the following. Suppose that we have the 4F encrypted system, and we obtain the encrypted data, like we can see here. If we multiply this encrypted data for a sinusoidal gradient, we obtain that we call the modulated data, like we can see here. If we apply a Fourier transform over this modulated data, we obtain some diffraction orders where the information of the encrypted data is contained in these diffraction orders. In this way, we pass to have this encrypted data to a Fourier plane where the encrypted data is contained in these diffraction orders, like we can see here. Okay, we are going to use this concept to remove the noise from the non-recurrent data. Look at here, the scheme. We use this idea to encrypt a movie. As we know, a movie is a sequence of frames. Here we have the frames of the movie, frame 1, frame A, frame N. And what we do, we encrypt each frame using the 4F system. Look at here, frame 1 is encrypted. We obtain the encrypted frame E1. They encrypt the frame N. We encrypt the frame N with the 4F system, and we obtain the En, is the encrypted frame N. In the way separately, obtain the encrypted frames of the movie, and we then multiply each frame, each encrypted frame, for a sinusoidal gradient here. And you obtain a modulated encrypted frame here. As we have multiple data, the next step is multiplexing, adding all the encrypted and modulated frames. In this way, the encrypted movie will be this multiplexing. At the beginning, we have multiple encrypted and modulated data, but now the encrypted movie is a single data, this multiplexing. And in this step, we introduce the gratings. Then we have to recover the information from this multiplexing. And this recovery has two steps. Look at here. We have here the phase conjugated of the multiplexing. If we apply the Fourier transform over this multiplexing, we obtain in the Fourier plane the diffraction orders corresponding to the different encrypted objects. With this information that is separated in this plane, we can filter each one of these spots here separately, this spot here, and if we apply over this diffraction order a Fourier transform, we obtain the information of the complex conjugated of the encrypted frame 1 here, then for all the encrypted frames. In this way, we can separate from the multiplexing the information of the encrypted frames. Without, we recover E1 without the superposition of the information of the other encrypted objects. This is the first process, filtering. The second one, once we have the complex conjugated of the encrypted frames, we simply apply the decryption using the security key in the 4F system. In this way, we were able to encrypt multiplexing the data, and using the ratings, select this encrypted data individually to obtain in the decryption the frames, frame 1, frame n, with the influence of the other frames. Here we can see the first movie encrypted by optical means. We encrypt the movie, encrypt the frames, apply the modulation, and decrypt the information, synchronizing the filtering and the decryption processes. Here we can see the result. This was the first encrypted movie by optical means here. But the question is, what happens if I use a different key from the security key? A different key for R2, we obtain this recovery movie. In this case, we use the security key, we record the movie, but when we use another key, we obtain a noisy pattern. That means that the movie is still encrypted. This paper was published on Optics. The results were published in a paper in Optics Express, and we selected for the highlighted section the Spotlight on Optics, or for the Optical Society of America, and we then expand this idea to encrypt color movies. We demonstrate that it's possible not only encrypt by optical means a grayscale objects, but also color objects. Okay. There are several encrypting systems. I showed you the 4F encrypting system, and here I'm going to introduce one of the most used encrypting systems that is called JTC encryption architecture, Joint Transform Correlator Encryption Architecture, using double random phase encoding. We use, as in the 4F system, we have here in the input plane, we have the object here, multiplied by one random phase mask. Here is the first random phase mask, and then the security key that is also a random phase mask. How we produce the random phase mask in an experimental setup? We use simply a ground glass diffuser in contact with the object, and this wicking. Okay, we have then the input plane of the system, and using a single lens. In the case of 4F system, we use two lenses. Here, only one lens. We obtain the Fourier transform of this input plane in the plane K, in the plane of the camera, and this intensity pattern is called Young power spectrum. With the Young power spectrum, we can filter the information registered in the CCD camera and obtain the encrypted information. Here, the encrypted information is the product between the Fourier transform of the object by the random phase mask that multiplies the object, and the complex conjugated of the Fourier transform of the key, called K. In this case, as you can see, the experimental setup is more compact than the 4F setup. But as I said, I have the encrypted information, but I need the information of the security key to recover information. In this case, we project on the key in the input plane, blocking the information of the object. And we need an interferometric setup with a reference wave to register the hologram of the Fourier transform of the key. In this case, we have to add this arm to register the hologram. And after filtering the hologram, we have the information of the Fourier transform of the key in this chart. As we said, if we have the encrypted information at the security key, we can recover the information. Here, the recovery system is also a 2F system, only with one lens of focal length f. In the input plane, we place together the encrypted image of the Fourier transform of the key, and in the plane K, we can recover the information. In this case, you are using a 2F system with a lens instead of a 2F system with two lenses. Here, the distance between the input plane and the recovery plane is 2F. Here, we have an example of creating multiple movies. As we saw, we are able to encrypt multiple data as a video is a sequence of frames created with certain frequency. We can encrypt a movie. And now the question is it possible to encrypt multiple movies? Is it possible to encrypt few encrypted movies of any frames? And we demonstrate experimentally that it is possible. What we do? We encrypt 3 movies with 2 keys. We encrypt one movie, the first movie, and the third movie with 1 key. And then we encrypt a second movie with key 2. And then we multiplex these movies, these encrypted movies. Here, we have the result. If we decrypt, we use this multiplexing that contains the information of all encrypted movies here. If we use key 1, we recover the movie 1. The second is encrypted because it was encrypted with other key. And the third movie is recovered. If we use key 2, the first movie still is encrypted. We can recover then the second movie here, like here. And the third movie remains hidden. Now we have encryption of a single object, multiple objects, a single movie, and multiple movies with different keys. This demonstrates that optical encryption has a very large range of applications. Okay. And now we apply the concept of multiplexing for so many applications. I want to show you this one. Is we encrypt the characters of a keyboard with the same random phase mask, with the same optical security key, and we add all the encrypted characters for the multiplexing. And as we know, if we use the security key, we can recover the keyboard. Now we have a keyboard that was encrypted, but decrypted then using the security key. And we introduce the concept of selection position key. If one user has the optical key, the security key can recover this keyboard, but with the selection position key, we can select from this keyboard the characters to obtain any message. Here, the selection position key gives the message information security through light. Then we have 2 keys, the regular key, the security key, and the selection position key. One user in possession of both keys is able to recover the message. This paper was published in Journal of Optics journal and selected for the section IOP Select of the IOP Science. And then was selected was one of the best paper of Journal of Optics by 2013. This was an application here, the concept of multiplexing, encrypting multiple data, and add all together and recover it in only one step, and also the introduction of the concept of selection position key. The length of this message depends directly on the selection position key length. But the security of the system is based mainly in the security key that provides the recovery keyboard. Okay, we show until now the optical encryption offers so many options. We can do so many applications. We see the concept of multiplexing, of filtering, but we can see here, look at the recovery objects. This is one structured recovery objects here. Here we have another one here, and multiple numbers here and lengths. That's the problem. In summary, the optical encryption offers security and a wide range of possibilities, but for practical application, the noise produced in the optical processing would be suppressed. As we are using random phase mask, the recovered objects has noise, that is random noise. But the user requires not only a secure system, but also they can recover the information with high fidelity. Then in this case, the optical encryption it was a very big problem 10 years ago, a really big problem because it was a big limitation. Some researchers, including us, were trying to reduce this noise, and also remove the noise, but it was not possible to remove. There are some techniques to reduce the noise. We implement some and propose these techniques, but we are able only to remove part of the noise, not completely. Okay, we were looking for this, trying to solve this problem for at least 10 or 12 years. We were trying with this some optical and optodigital techniques to remove noise, but it was not possible to do it. But the answer was not in these techniques. The answer was in the quick response calls. Now, this kind of calls are very common, are very popular. 11 years ago, they were not so popular when we implemented, but you can see that these QR codes are two-dimensional barcodes employed to store information. This information can be codified in the code, and then with a smartphone, we can read the code and recover the information. They are very used, for example, in WhatsApp. This QR code system was invented in 1994 in Japan to track vehicles manufactured. And this kind of codes has so many advantages. They are fast reading, tolerant to noise, very important for us, tolerant to loss and misalignments. They are and are free of any license. We can use the codes without problem. They have no license. They are redundant. For example, look at this QR code here. Some part of the code is missing, and still some part is missing. We can read the code. If the code has noise, we can also read this code because it's tolerant to noise, loss, and misalignments. Now, we found in this QR code coding response the solution. What was our proposal? It was quite simple. It was merged the work in optical encryption that was proposed in 1995 with the QR coding that was proposed in 1994. They were proposed for different proposals, like the idea is use QR coding in optical encryption. Our proposal was the following. The original message is optical encryption, and instead of decrypt this information, we obtain the corresponding QR code. Here is codified the message optical encryption. If we encrypt this code, we obtain the encrypted code, the nonsense pattern here. And we use the encrypted QR code as the security key. We are able to recover the code, but with the noise produced by the optical processing with the random phase mask. Okay, now what happened with this noisy decrypted QR code? The advantage is that we can read this code and recover the information free of any kind of noise. In conclusion, we can use QR coding to encrypt information and recover it free of any kind of noise. Why? Because QR codes, although the decrypted QR code contain the noise due to the optical processing with a random mask, they are tolerant to noise and can be read and read the information free of noise. If we have the message optical encryption and follow the common procedure, encrypt the message, we obtain the noise here due to the optical processing. This paper was published in Optics Express and was selected for the section Research Highlights of Nature Photonics in 1913. Based on this idea of the noise-free recovery, we have an invention patent called Optophysical Apparatus and Procedures for Encrypted Information as it's recovering free of noise. This was one of my most important contributions to the field of optical encryption. Here, I can show you the optical setup that we use in our lab in Medellin with the classical elements for doing the research. We have here the spatial modulator when we project the objects, a CMOS camera to register the digital holograms, and the common optical elements to implement experimentally the optical encryption. But then we decided to develop a prototype of, after the patent, we decided to develop a prototype of the encrypting system. This prototype is a compact version of the optical setup we use for basic research. Here we can see a top view of this prototype, and the idea is the following. I'll show you here. The prototype is inside this black box, and somebody for a computer, that somebody for the computer can control the optical system here to take the information to the image of the security key. This is a top view of the elements that we use. Here we have the prototype components. We use obviously a laser as a source, and here a set of components of the prototype to obtain the plane wave that illuminates the system, and a beam splitter to obtain 2 beams, very common in optical encryption setups, and the CMOS camera to record the information of the system. Here to project the information, and here the ground glass diffuser to obtain the random phase mask used for the encryption procedure. This is our prototype here with some elements to obtain the encrypted and security key. We developed a software in Python to control the encryption system. Here we insert the information we want to encrypt here. This is the record. We obtain the QR code of the corresponding information, and using the optical system, we obtain the encrypted data and the key. Everything controlled from the computer. Okay. Obviously, the recovery, we have reset so many parameters in several domains. Not very important for this presentation here. But with the information of the encrypted data and the security key, as I said, we can recover the QR code. And after reading the QR code, we can obtain the information free of any kind of noise. We demonstrate that with this prototype, it is possible to protect the information using optical processors and also record information free of noise. Then we can see here the evolution of this area of encryption. At the beginning, we were able to encrypt. These results are experimental. We were able to encrypt a single character. Then we were able to encrypt QR codes, other types of codes, more structured than the QR codes, grayscale information with some noise here. Then we were able to reduce part of the noise with some techniques. Then we are able to encrypt color objects. We were able to remove more noise, like this result here. And then we were able to reconstruct color and structural objects, like this. You can see here in experimental results. And actually, currently, we have these results. It's the decrypted descent. Descent is a real descent, a three-dimensional descent with color. Here, look at here, this reconstruction. We pass from a single character to process in a secure way real descents of three-dimensional and color objects. Until this point, we were able to do so many things with our setup, but we found several constrictions in the process because, remember, if we in the JTC crypto system, we can encrypt the information using a singular system, but if we want to record the information from the encrypted key, we need an interferometric setups. We need a reference arm here. We have a big an optical setup with more elements and with more requirements on alignment and stability. Our question was, it is possible to obtain the encrypted data and the security key using only this single arm system, avoiding this reference arm. This reference arm includes so many elements, setup and increment the area of the optical setup. We were working in this idea for 4 or 5 years, and we were able to do so. Look, in the JTC crypto system, we have the key window at the object to obtain the encrypted information, and for obtaining the information of the encrypted key, we use only the key window and a reference arm. We change this reference arm, including in the input plane a plane window. In this way, we obtain from this plane wave window a reference wave to obtain the hologram of the key. In conclusion, we develop a local setup with only illumination arm. We don't need a reference arm to obtain the information of the security key. And this was published some years ago. Here we can see some results. One character, or more structural objects like this one. This is the recovered object. It represents a big advance in the idea of obtaining local setups because we are reducing the quantity of elements of the system. And this is very important for this area because we can have a local setup for basic research and also for applications. But look at here. Holography plays a very important role in optical encryption because the encrypted object and the security key are obtained by holographic recordings. And it's important to make a review of what is holography. Holography, in the basic sense, is like we could show here on setup to holography. We have a laser, a collimation system to obtain a wave plane. This beam splitter brings 2 beams, one traveling in direction reflected by the mirror M1 and goes directly to the camera, and the second beam is reflected by mirror 2, impinges on the object, and the light reflected by the object passes through a lens, and then is recorded in the camera using the reference wave. In this way, we can have the hologram of a three-dimensional object, like you can see here. You can see here the hologram with the fringes. If we record the information of the hologram, we recover the object, the inverted object, and the DC term in the center. But we usually want to recover only the object. For doing so, we filter this hologram and obtain that we call optical field data. This optical field data, the information of this hologram that allows recovering only the object. It's a process. In this process, we can obtain the optical field that is able to recover the information of the object. In this way, we can recover, register, and recover the object. But we still have a problem because high-quality holograms require high-resolution recording devices. If we have high-resolution recording devices, we have large volume of information to be processed, stored, and transmitted. And in our encrypted setup, we have large volume of information, and this is a big problem to manage in an efficient way this kind of information. The first idea that appears is use the compression algorithms, the digital algorithms use it to compress information. And some of these compression algorithms were applied to holographic information, some lossless without loss, or lossy with loss, some of these digital compression algorithms. But it was demonstrated that these traditional algorithms are not suited for holographic information because the characteristics of the holographic information are quite different from natural images. Here we have an example. Here in A, we have the optical field that permits reconstruct one object, a three-dimensional object. While here in B, we have a grayscale image. As we can see, this holographic information has fast variation and discontinuity. But this kind of compression algorithms were made for this kind of images, without phase variation and without discontinuities. And that is why these classical digital algorithms doesn't work for compressed digital holographic information. Here we have another example, the hologram, the filtered hologram, that's the optical field, and here the reconstruction from this optical field. And we propose one way to compress this information called optical scaling. And this process is quite simple. We use a single lens. We put in the input plane the optical field, this information, and in the output plane, we obtain a magnified optical field using a simple positive lens. The volume of this magnified optical field will be the volume of the optical field without compression multiplied by m squared, where m is the magnification. If magnification is from 0 to 1, then the volume of this compressed optical field is less than the volume of the non-compressed optical field. This way, using a single lens, we are able to compress the optical field data. Okay. The volume difference will be the difference between the uncompressed optical field and the compressed optical field. Here, we can see a comparison between optical scaling of our proposal and JPEG format. It's a very common format for compression. Look at here. In red, we have the behavior of the optical scaling here for different volume differences here. In blue, we have the behavior of the JPEG format, digital format, for holographic information. Here we are compressing the optical field, and we calculate the correlation coefficient for different volume differences. The correlation coefficient is calculated comparing the object without compression and the object at the hologram, the optical field, under different compressions with different volume differences. And here we can see that until certain value, the behavior of the optical scaling here and the JPEG digital format is the same until this point. And after this volume difference here, the performance of the optical scaling is better than the performance of the JPEG digital format. With this information, we can conclude that optical scaling shows better performance for large volume differences. Why? Because JPEG was done not for holographic information, was done for natural images. This paper, these results were published in Journal of Optics and was selected for the EOP Select section, and also was selected for the paper for highlights of 2016. Then we extend this procedure for registering holograph of color objects. For this purpose, we registered 3 holograms for 3 sources, for green, red, and blue lasers. We obtain 3 holograms for each source. Then we filter these holograms to obtain the optical field for this color, and we assemble the information of these 3 optical fields to obtain the hologram of the color objects. It's the color object. I multiply this hologram with a phase gradient because in the reconstruction, the information of the recorded objects is superimposed by the 0 diffraction order of the modulator. In this way, to obtain the hologram of a color object, we have to obtain 3 holograms for these 3 wavelengths and assemble the optical field after filtering. Here we have the recovering setup. We project here in the spatial light modulator. We project the hologram of the color object. We illuminate with the 3 wavelengths here. The light that's come from is reflected by the spatial light modulator, travels to the lens, and is directed for the mirror to the camera. Here we can see the reconstruction of 3 color objects, like we can see here. In this case, when we have color objects, we need 3 holograms for the red, green, or blue lasers, and to reconstruct the information, we need to use to illuminate the hologram of this with these 3 wavelengths. And now I'm going to explain you how to compress this information, the information that comes from color holograms. Suppose that we have 3 color holograms from 3 different objects, 1, 2, and 3. And we multiply each hologram for an orthogonal random binary mask. Here. Here I have a random binary mask here, B1, another one B2, another one B3. These 3 masks are orthogonal. And we obtain here the hologram of the color object sampled with this mask. The same for the second hologram and the third. And we add together these 3 sampled holograms to obtain the package. We can notice here that each hologram has this volume around 2 megabytes, and the package that is compound for all the sampled holograms has the same volume. In this case, we are reducing the volume to 1/3. We have here around 6 megabytes, and here we have around 2 megabytes, because we are using the sampling binary mask. As the binary masks are orthogonal, one pixel of the package contains the information of only one of the holograms. This is the key. One pixel of the package only contains the information on one hologram. If we have the package, we can recover the information. If we apply a Fourier transform, we recover all objects superimposed. All 3 objects superimposed, we can recognize one object of this pattern. If we can recover the objects successfully, we have to multiply the package by the mask B1 to obtain the object 1, and the same with the other 2 masks. In this case, the mask allows obtain the package to reduce the volume and select the information of the original holograms after multiplying the package by the random mask, like we can see here. In this case, for example, the unprocessed holograms, the holograms originally had a volume around 90 megabytes. And the multiplexed package, the volume was around 2 megabytes. In this case, the volume reduction is 97.81%. Still, we have this high volume reduction, we can recover the objects. It implies that this kind of optical compression technique works very well when we are dealing with holographic information. And here we can see 2 movies. Look at here. The first one is an holographic movie. We record this movie experimentally in the lab, rotating this object. And this is the recording of the holographic movie, like we can see here. And applying optical scaling and sampling with mask, the 2 techniques that we developed, we can compress the holographic video and update the reconstruction. Look at this one on the right, this reconstruction. Look at here. The compression is 87.5, and still this higher compression, we can recover the holographic movie. And we know that for holographic movies, we have a digital format, MPEG-4 format, when we can compress videos, and we compare the performance of this MPEG-4 format in this magenta line with the performance of the compression using optical scaling and binary mask, random mask. If we look here, this is In green, we have the performance of applying optical scaling plus random mask, and in the magenta is the performance of the MPEG 4 format. We demonstrate here that combining optical scaling and sampling is possible to obtain a better performance by using the conventional digital formats. Sorry. And finally, using optical encryption, we obtain a secure management of information. And using compression, we obtain an efficient handling of information. Now, we combine both encryption and compression. Look at here. We have 4 objects, A, B, C, D. They are encrypted in the optical system, then filtered and obtain the optical field data for the encrypted objects from E1 to E4. And then we multiply this optical field for 4 random masks that are orthogonal. Then from this volume, we can reduce in 4 times the volume, multiplexing all the encrypted field that are sampled. And here we obtain all the encrypted and sampled information. As we saw, if we use this multiplexing and apply the decrypting process, we obtain all data superimposed, all letters A, B, C, D superimposed. If we want to recover only one of the objects, we have to multiply the multiplexing by one of the random phase masks and recover only one object with the superposition of other objects. In this way, we can combine optical encryption with optical compression to have a secure and efficient handling of information. That is a big purpose. Okay, and then I'm going to conclude. I showed that optical encryption allows protecting information in a secure way. I showed 2 architectures. There are many. The most popular are 4F and JTC. And the most important is we were able to demonstrate that it's possible to encrypt from a single object, structured objects, grayscale and color objects, even a videos or multiple videos. And one of the most important contribution was the inclusion of QR coding to achieve a recovery free of any kind of noise. We developed a compact system with one illumination arm. And we developed 2 techniques to compress information, optical scanning and sampling binary masks. That works very well for holographic data. And then we combine the optical encryption and compression techniques to achieve a secure and efficient handling of information. This was a big purpose. We were working so many years on that, and some researchers around the world were doing so many interesting contributions to achieve this, combining optical and compression techniques. And we do it. And finally, as we know, this work is done with the help of so many people, so many colleagues as students from a university in Colombia. So many researchers from Argentina. We have a large collaboration with this center in Argentina, Center de Investigaciones Ópticas. Obviously, some institutions in Colombia, here in Argentina, and special thanks to International Center for Theoretical Physics. Now I am a regular associate. I was associate for so many years, and the Third World Academy of Science that give me some support to do some research stays in Argentina. Okay, thank you very much for the attention.
We have reached the end of today's webinar session and also this webinar series. We deem it a great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks for this great event, ROWS2022, organized by the Raman International Optronics Society, RIOS. On behalf of the RIOS and the entire organizing team of ROWS2022, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to Professor John FREDY BARRERA RAMIREZ from Optics and Photonics Group, University of Antioquia, Colombia, for gracing your important work and sharing with us your findings and opinion towards a talk on secure data handling using optical processing. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for you, sir, for giving excellent coverage to the topics such as encryption and decryption systems, 4F and JTC encryption architectures, double random phase encoding, multiple movie processing, QR codes, and optical compression techniques. Once again, we thank you, sir, for your outstanding presentation. A special thanks to the chairpersons, vice chairpersons, secretaries, and advisory committee members for their encouragement, support, and coordination to make this webinar successful. We are thankful to all the eminent personalities, professors, faculties, and students across the world who joined the webinar and participated actively. We also greatly acknowledge the contributions of the organizing committee and the members of RIOS for the successful completion of the webinar series ROWS2022. Once again, congratulations to all the winners of the Best Paper Awards. The abstract book with ISBN number of ROWS2022 can be downloaded from the website, and the results of the Best Paper Awards can also be viewed in the notifications page of the RIOS website. I humbly request all of you to join ROWS2023 and to propose eminent speakers of your choice. All the participants are requested to submit their feedback form today itself within 2 hours. The link to the feedback form is available in the chat box. Once again, we thank you all for being with us, and we hope to look forward to your involvement in the upcoming webinars of ROWS to make the series a tremendous success. Have a good day. And one more announcement, the Laser Division of Department of Optoelectronics, University of Kerala, invites interested, motivated students to pursue the PhD program. Those interested may contact through the website of RIO. Thank you all. Have a good day.